Good morning everyone. Basa tayo na ating libro guys. Kapwa ka Filipino, magbasa na tayo na ating History Book of the Filipino People. History of the Filipino People by Agoncillo and Guerrero. Today is 19 January 2023. Basahin natin is History of the Filipino People 8th edition. Ito yung kapalit ko dun sa naponit guys. Part 4, the American Period. Topic number 15, the Continuing Resistance 1901-1913. Literacy, the Sulu Resistance 1899 to 1913. Nandito tayo sa karugtong paragraph number 4, Jikiri 1907. Basa. Number 4, Jikiri 1907. Jikiri, a native of Jolo, began his piratical attacks on trading vessels or villages early in the American period, but he became notorious and known to media about 1907. By then, his activities had gone beyond Jolo to Basilan, the Zamboanga Peninsula, and southeast to the Tawi-Tawi Islands. After 1907, he had established a staging point in Cabingaan Island between the Jolo and Siasi Island groups. From poll data, Jicarious Notoriety was based not only on the killings of victims and the carting away of anything of value, but also on his obsession to get beautiful women for his booty. Colonial assessment attributed Jicari's obsession for beautiful maidens to some psychological problems caused or heightened by ugly facial features nature had given him since birth. Thus, Jicari's attitude to women was... ka-office lang natin na na yung dyan ko. Okay. Thus, Jicari's attitude to women was a psychological attempt at compensation for personal satisfaction. After a long and tedious pursuit with the assistance of local leaders, including the Sultan, reliable intelligence data were gathered by Julius Shucks. People on the hideout of Jikiri at Batian Island. American troops and Tausug allies took off secretly for Batian and cornered Jikiri and his band, which included his wife. Jikiri was finally killed after a hand-to-hand combat liquidated the rest of his band. With the death of Jikiri, an irritating era of piracy came to an end, and once again American rule had proven its successful campaign against recalcitrants in Sulu. The year 1909 marked the beginning of political change from the Tusker Bliss to the John Pershing approach to the government or the affairs of the Moro province. Having proven himself earlier in the Lanao campaigns, General Pershing assumed the governorship of the Moro province and started a vigorous disarmament campaign in Jolo. In addition to the educational assault on certain cultural values and practices such as polygamy, pilgrimage, tumika, etc., the result was the revival of resistance, which found tangible expression in the Battle of Bagsak in 1903. I think it's Bagsak. Number 5, Bagsak, 1913. Records show that by June 1912, loose firearms had been collected in Jolo except in Lati and Luuk, where the opposition to disarmament was strong. Here began to process for another uprising when Panglima Indanan, a powerful leader, was arrested and disarmed together with his aides and sons. This was accompanied by the violent operations of the scouts in the eastern part of the Jolo, especially in Lati, where the Sabilala attacks on American troops became the source of colonial horror. More military pressures were exerted on the Lati people, but the latter defied the odds and took their stand of Bagsak. The entire population, practically joined the rebellion. The number of defiant rebels was about 6,000 to 10,000, which included about 10% combatants and warriors. It appeared that the whole Lati community was defiant against American rule under circumstances where the killings of non-combatants was a grim reality. The American authorities appealed for non-combatants and combatants to return to their abandoned farms and homes. Finally, many of the non-combatants were persuaded to avoid conflict, and only the warriors remained determined to fight the colonial forces. Part of the compromise was the withdrawal of American troops from Jolo Island, but peace was uncertain because the Latin Muslims had kept themselves in readiness to move to Bagsak in case of any troop movement. General Pershing tried to convince them that American intention was not to resort to final use of arms but rather to persuade them to surrender their arms for the sake of peace. The reaction to Pershing's appeal was a defiant resolve to resist any effort to disarm them. Convinced that all efforts would be futile, America's strategy was to separate the non-combatants from the combatants. When this was achieved, Pershing ordered immediate troop movements to Bagsak, which was reached by June 11, 1913. The defenders of the movement were surprised by American breach of the agreement. The resistance against American arms was furious and heroic, but it was tragic and senseless because the massacre of Muslim freedom fighters by Americans was one-sided and quick. Governor Pershing tried to justify the slaughter of ill-equipped and hopeless defenders by referring to them as notorious cattle thieves and murderers in the island, whose liquidation was welcomed by the entire population of the Sulu archipelago. For the colonial government, the Bagsak affair ended with Pax Americana donning in Sulu as over 500 rifles were gathered from the island. But undoubtedly, subsequent events would show the Tausug will to resist, and the love for liberty had remained subdued. Bukas na tong guys, the Cotabato Resistance. Ay, tapusin ko na lang kasi babalik na pala tayo sa 5th edition. Kasi drawing na siya, oh. Nasaan na ba yung karugtong niyan? Tingnan ko lang guys kung may karugtong siya. Kasi yung 5th edition, nung napunit is drawing na rin eh. So, babalik tayo sa 5th edition. Kaya ko lang to siningit yung 8th edition kasi nga diba punit, pero ibang-iba talaga yung pati title, pati yung iba. So, yun. Kaya tinapos ko na rin lang talaga guys. So, pagkatapos itong drawing, titingnan ko kung may karugtong pa siya. Kasi letter D na yung diba? Ang haba pala ng mga drawing, oh. Ando doon din to sa 5th edition eh, mga drawing doon tayo na hinto. Bago mag-drawing. Oh, may karugtong nga guys. Paano ba gagawin natin ito? Okay. Bukas na tong letter D. Kasi mahaba-haba siya. Gusto ko sanang umalis na dito sa topic 8. Kaya lang, hayaan mo na. So, hanggang dyan na lang. Bukas na yung letter D ng letter D. Ba't na bago? Wala. Okay guys, bye everyone. God bless.